All right, good morning and good evening to everybody. Welcome to the very first episode, actually, of a new podcast we're starting called The Sixth at Six, the Sixth New York Cavalry. We're the main host of this podcast. We'll have guests on every month, and we'll try and keep it fresh with who we get on from the different units and the people that we play and interact with. So the first one's going to be a bit special because, well, for two reasons. Firstly, because it's our first one, but also because we've just finished 2023. So we'll do some little informal awards, have a little chat about things, and just go through some other things along the way. You'll probably have seen podcasts before from people like Battleline Network, which focus a lot more on some of the bigger questions with War of Rights. They're really good for that kind of thing. They get developers and stuff to get on board, and you can really learn a lot from those. This discussion will be a little bit more focused on the people that play War of Rights, the things that they like doing, how they've got to the game, and all those good stuff. So with that said, we have a few guests with us today, members of the 6th and also a member of our affiliated regiment in the New York Volunteers from the 88th. So I think what we'll start with is going through each guest, top to bottom. If you guys can introduce yourself, the unit you play for, and just for a little bit of fun, because we're going to create a big old leaderboard by doing this, if you can let us know how many hours you have in the game. If you know roughly how long you've played for as well, even better, but the hours would be great. So we'll start with you, Mr. Frog, if that's all right.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, gentlemen. It's always good to be with you guys. But yeah, my name is Corporal E. Frog, and I represent the 88th New York, twinned with the 6th in the NYV. I have 160 hours on War of Rights, compared to a lot of others. That's, dwindling. But yeah, I'm from the United Kingdom, and I've also been playing for about 6 months, so that's spread across that. There we go.
Wonderful, thank you. Pilot?
Hey guys, I'm Corporal F. Pilot. I play in the 6th New York Cavalry. I'm also affiliated in the New York Volunteers. I have roughly 1,477 hours in War of Rights the last time I checked. I am from the United States, Massachusetts specifically, and I've been playing the game for, it's been 3.5 years now at least. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think you probably started playing it about the same time as I did, actually.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, you know what? This is going to surprise you. Maybe it's actually closer to 4 now. So
Is it actually?
yeah, but yeah, no, exactly. Ibby, on to you.
Yeah, I'm Ibi Dom with the 6th New York Cavalry. Base as fuck. But I've been playing, well, my hours currently are 3,177. I started playing roughly in, I think, early 2021, but I didn't join the 6th, or well, this group of guys till about, what was it, 2023? Was it, Fog?
Oh God, I think so. Yeah, yeah. It was sometime in 23. We spoke in pubs, and you came on over. Yeah.
But yeah, I've played for quite a while. Damn, I need to touch some grass as well. I mean, 3,177 is a little too much for my liking, but no, I've played for a long time and had a very fun time in all the groups I've been in. And I'm from the United Kingdom as well. Just a big dub.
Yeah, absolutely. For this first podcast, I realized I've actually got a disproportionate amount of British dudes on board, but hey, that's how it swings sometimes.
Hey, you know what? Pakistani background. There you go. I'd add a little
Add a
little
little
spice to
sprinkle on
it.
top. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Diversity.
Exactly. And yeah, my name's Parker. I've been playing for 4 years as of next month in February. I started in February 2020. In this current regiment, the 6th, we've been around since May of 2023. But I've been playing in cav units for most of my time in War of Rights. In terms of how many hours we have, after Ibby said he needs to touch grass, I'm very concerned because I have 3,710. So there we go. Am I proud of that? Yes and no. It's the short answer. So but everyone starts somewhere. That's the great thing about this game is you'll have people who are fairly new to the game, like Frog, who's had it for 6 months or so, and he's getting into the regimental side of things. He's moving up in his unit, and you got the old timers who've been around for a while, and we all eventually come together in our different groups and stuff. So, but yeah, as I said at the start, this is really just kind of a chat. You guys get to hear a little bit more about us, maybe learn about who we are, put some more information to the voices and the faces that you hear in the events that we attend. But yeah, we'll just have a little chat and see what happens. So. The first one, which I think would be a really cool one for everybody, because we all are in regiments, we all play in these big battles and stuff, is talk about what is our favorite event in the War of Ice community. That can be any event, whether it's a regular week-on-week event, whether it's something which happens less frequently as well. Anything that you enjoy attending and going to every time it comes up. Does anyone want to kick us off?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll kick us off. It's a little bit, I guess, not biased, but on one side because I only play really EU events. I've only ever been to one NA event, so I guess it's a little unfair in that regard. But uh, my favorite event, honestly, is a HRE, the historical rules event. I think they've done a very good job of balancing historical play with competitive play, especially with the rule of not having bayonets till 30 minutes, and I think engaged as well as when you can also fix it. Maybe incorrect in that, but I really think they've done a good job of balancing the two sort of play styles. It's really always enjoyable playing HRE, and I also do like how you can have a say in what maps are going to be played. To an extent, obviously they give you they tell you what map pack you're going to be playing on, and you get two options, and then you vote for what map you want out of the two options. But you get a vote in that if you're an officer or NCO in the unit. So I think HRE is definitely my favorite event. Albeit I've not been to many NA events, so I can't comment on the NA side of things. But for EU, definitely HRE for me.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, H3 is one of those events where, as you guys here know, and a lot of the guys listening probably know, our two units of the 6th and the 88th have been involved for a long time now. It's grown an awful lot as well. I remember back in the day, H3 used to be a like 120, 150 player event. And then we get up to today's date, as of the day of recording, in fact, and we had two servers. I think the population on server 1, when I was adminning first round, was about 190 roughly, maybe just short of 200 in fact, and the other server had a good 150, 160. So it really has grown an awful lot since then, and along the way I hope it grows with, as you say, like how you can interact and give feedback and debriefs and stuff like that. We hope to be that kind of receiving of all that stuff on the community. So definitely not biased, of course. Ibby, I'll pay you later for saying that. Thank you. But
Gotta make this money.
exactly. And likewise, as Ibby said, we're obviously talking about the events that we attend and stuff. So if anybody listening comes from another side of the event community, no disrespect intended. These are just the events that we get to. So yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ibby. Pilot or Frog, did you agree or have a different one that you want to choose? Or
I mean, I totally agree with Ibby there. I mean, I've got other suggestions in mind, but HRE is very good. I agree with the 30-minute Bayo sprinting. It makes it a lot less. Obviously, chaos is fun, but in the first few minutes, it gives you a bit more time to decide what you're doing. And I feel that adds more of a tactical element to it for the officers and the NCOs. Gives a bit more leeway into things instead of brainlessly just going, Union charge, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, absolutely. Especially like where we're on Harper's Ferry now in HRE. It's a lot of the time people look at Harper's Ferry and go, oh well, you can write Union off until they get River Crossing or until they get a certain map. But with the rules that we have in place, it really makes a lot of these maps a lot different to play. They become a lot more contested. It stops a lot of the endless charging on these city maps and stuff like that. So it's I'm glad you agree with that. I would be interested though, what was the other ones you were thinking of to throw out there, even if they're not your favorite, like other events you enjoy in the community?
Sure. So I mean, for me, it's a personal favorite. It's Picket Patrol, and that's because when I played the game 6 months ago, when Fipshed employed me, because obviously, from out there, I am Fipsh's son, the big holy grail of the 88th. But yeah, he got me in, and I got involved in a Picket Patrol, and that was my first event, and I led that first game I played. I led around, and it was like thrown in the deep end. It holds a special place in my heart. It's like a personal thing. I always love Picket Patrol. And the second one is Southern Aggression, because it's and it's such a like new event. It's like fresh off the block, and it's good to be able to get something fresh, something new into the event rotation, if you get me. And it's also good to play with the NA guys because it's something you don't get to do usually, and it's at a time where it's reasonable for EU people to be able to. I mean, it's still a bit late, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who might not be aware, Southern Aggression is kind of similar to Hatery a little bit, and it's an event which strives for a little bit more historical accuracy, a little bit less so than Hatery, but definitely to a greater extent than a lot of events. It's an NA event that's hosted on Friday nights. Really fun. As you hear from Frog, like himself, and also myself, and Pilot, and a lot of other guys, we regularly attend that. A very good new event. I think next year, when we probably come to doing this same kind of conversation, I think it'll be a real battle between Summon Aggression and Hatery for maybe who wins that favorite event overall. But yeah, it's for a new event. It's really fun. A lot of good times, and maybe the best thing is of all for us here present today is we always fight it as a combined unit. All of the NYV comes together. We form a line and have a lot of fun. Feel free to check out some of those moments of fun on the Sixth YouTube channel. Yeah, a lot of fun. Pride Forward, most recently we played. We'll get a video of that out soon, but some really good highlights from that event. So 100%.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. I mean, they're watching the podcast. They're on the channel while you're here. Why not, right? So there you go.
I like it.
Yeah, I gotta get that bread. All right, War of Ice doesn't pay. So, Pilot, do you have anything different or the same events or?
Yeah, I probably would have to agree with everything that's been said so far. HRE and Southern Aggression, love them both. I really think with these two events, with the historical part in both of them, I don't think we normally think about it, but like looking back at Civil War history and all that stuff, you really feel present with those two events. Close formations, being in the heat of it, what firing almost 100 yards away from each other was actually like, and those two events really play a big role in that. I guess I don't normally do this, and I don't like to separate the either one. But if I had to pick a favorite for both time zone, I would definitely say HRE for EU, and then Southern Aggression for NA. So yeah, but they're both really fun events. So
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And as with all these events, obviously putting them against each other and like what's better is always impossible because they're hosted at different times. They have a different character. They have different people to play. It really is difficult to make a single conclusion. But I think I'd agree. TSA and HRE, they're definitely two of, I'd say, the favorite events that I look forward to at the moment. Shout out to UEC. Of course, both units here attend that a lot. The 88th themselves are a member of that event. And it's a great event as well. I think for me, HRE and TSA just tip the balance. And as I say, end of next year, it'll be a bit of a clash of the titans. I don't know. Maybe we'll get like 8th Georgia Knight or someone on board, and we'll have a real conversation about the events and have a little toe to toe, and get Victor in too. We'll see who survives the night. No, I'm kidding, of course. But great events for sure. If anybody listening hasn't heard of them or wants to check them out, then if I remember to, I will definitely leave a link to the to the event discords down below. If not, feel free to comment and I will get back to you. So yeah, favorite event. Now this one's going to be a real tough one, I think, to decide, or maybe not so. I don't know actually. Favorite map in War of Rights. What's the one that you look at and think, you know what, I fancy a bit of that?
All right. Yeah, this is one of the questions when I was looking at the agenda and of the questions we're going to get asked today, that I knew a lot of us were going to struggle on. There's a lot of maps in the game that I thoroughly enjoy and enjoy playing. There's also a lot of maps I bloody hate playing, but we'll stay on the positive side of things here. Two maps I have to put up there: Schoolhouse Ridge, Colchis Defense. Colchis Defense, wide open map, nice uphill dynamic for the Union fighting uphill. And for the CSA holding the hill, or you don't necessarily have to hold the hill, you can hold in the woods, hold a little head if you want to. So I mean, I guess always good for a map to have a wide range of strategies you can use. And Schoolhouse Ridge, I mean, that's right, that right there is the goal. I mean, open map, decent, fairly balanced, I'll say. Also good artillery positions for both sides. A lot of people kind of look at the Union artillery position and they're like, "Oh, it's behind the fort. You can only see anything." But once you wheel it over the fort, it is a bit of a trouble wheeling it over the fort. It's a little bit buggy and glitchy at times. But once you get it over the fort and into the open, you can do some really good damage to the Confederates as they try and make the attack on the road. It's also a huge map. It's I don't know if it's the largest map in the game, not counting obviously conquest and contention maps, but it is a huge map. There's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of defilades and all the terrain points you can use. I mean, you got that creek, which is always nice as well. The woods, and it's got a variety of terrain types you can use, and it's very enjoyable. There's a lot of stuff you can do for both sides, Union and CSA. You know, if you're the CSA, you got ways you can attack, and with the Union, you got a wide variety of ways you can defend that map. And I think that's always a good thing to. The map doesn't necessarily have to be balanced, but as long as there's many ways to play it, then the map's not going to get old very quick. I always enjoy jumping on and seeing Schoolhouse Ridge, and it's kind of the saving grace of the Harpers Ferry map pack for me.
Yeah, especially for
I
Union, right?
Yeah, I've made my hatred for the Harpers Ferry map pack very clear, bar a few maps. But Schoolhouse Ridge is definitely up there. It's just overall, you know, if I had to put it on numbers, 9 out of 10, can't really fault it for much, to be honest. It's very enjoyable. Um, I will make a brief comment on a conquest contention map, and that is Farmland. Farmland, honestly, and again, it's another one of those open maps, and it's a really good line battle map. So it's very good for these like UEC, HRE kind of events where you know, you're forming lines of volleying at each other at distance. It's very fun to play. The artillery is actually in decent positions, on
Yeah.
absolutely unheard of in a contention and conquest map. And yeah, so I know it's waffled on quite a bit there, but there's a if I kept going on, I'd probably there's so many maps that could make it to the list, but have something that bring them down. But to keep it, I guess, as short and sweet as possible. For skirmish, Schoolhouse Ridge, like, it's probably my favorite, and for contention, conquest, Farmlands is definitely my favorite.
It's interesting the two maps you pick are obviously very different in terrain, but they're definitely on the biggest end of the maps in the game, right? So Schoolhouse is ridiculously wide, a lot more wider than people think as a map, and then Colquist as well. And it's funny how they're from two different rotations. I wonder if you had to complete the set, and if you had to pick an Antietam map as well, would that tend itself to Hooker's Push, or would you go for a different Antietam map?
Oof, okay. But this is where I'm gonna waffle on a bit.
It's all good.
I feel like, and I know a lot of people agree with this. Antietam is probably one of the most stronger map packs. I love South Mountain. Hate Harpers Ferry. Love me South Mountain. Hate me Harpers Ferry. Antietam is definitely a fairly enjoyable map pack. Just to name a few. Yeah, Hooker's Push. That's this one. Very enjoyable. Hagerstown Turnpike is it's okay. Very bloody map. But
Yeah.
that's also quite enjoyable. This one might get a few people angry, but Miller's Cornfield. I
Ooh,
unironically
yeah,
enjoy Miller's Cornfield. I like because it's one of those maps where it's not based on vision necessarily, because you can't see as much. Obviously, you can jump on the fences, and there are a few points in the cornfield on the Union left, CSA right, where you can get a sort of overhead view of the point. It's not very good, but it's there. You know, you can see flags, and that's really all that matters. But I like the dynamic of that map, how it's a lot more based on, you know, who can surprise the enemy team. It is quite fairly unbalanced though. CSA getting buck and ball and Union getting rifles. I don't understand why people might hate on it. I personally just thoroughly enjoy it. Uh, Honestly, I guess Cook's counter charge is probably gonna. I'll put Cook's counter charge up there as my favorite.
yeah.
Despite being heavily CSA biased, nice open map, nice terrain. Overall, every time we play Cook's counter charge, even as a Union, obviously it results in a loss a lot of the time, but it's always a more enjoyable loss. And there's definitely ways of winning it. As a Union, there's definitely ways of evening the odds a little. And I mean, there's that video that Parker likes to milk on the Six New York channel,
What are you on
the
about? I don't know what you're on
Golden
about.
Cook's counter
What are you on
charge.
about? It's only got a few thousand views. What are you on about? I don't know.
I
I don't
milked for the
know.
longest time, but no, it's genuinely, I think it's a very enjoyable map. Um, but again, a lot of the maps and the enjoyment base is based on how you play it. There's nothing I hate more than jumping in a public game and seeing people holding back at the graveyard. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's viable personally. Obviously, feel free to disagree. But Cook's Counter Charge, when you play it, I feel like a lot of these maps, when you play them in a way that's not necessarily meta, then you find yourself enjoying it a lot more, because you're not sitting back and trying to preserve ticket again up there and fighting, and you'll find yourself enjoying it a lot more. So anyway, enough waffling on. I'll let somebody else talk now.
No, you're good. I think you're right as well about avoiding metas. Like, for example, on today's HRE with the rules and how we have it set up. So we played High Street a second round today, but with the rules where you can't sprint and you can't bayonet for CSA for the first 10 minutes. And we were playing a CSA, actually, I should add. It actually evolved into a shootout for the first part of the game. So we had like us and the 88th right next to us. We slowly advanced up on that hillside by the church, shooting down on the wall. But we knew we couldn't charge with bayonets. We could obviously charge at the double quick with clubs, but that doesn't quite have the same the same hit, the same punch to it. So
Sorry, what map was this again? Dunkerchurch, did you say?
No, High Street. High Street.
High Street. Okay,
yeah, Harper's Ferry High Street. So the big church at the top, obviously, of the hill. And we were playing a CSA. So it really lets you play games like that differently.
Yeah.
And as you say, avoiding these metas and stuff. So, but yeah, I agree with Cooks. I think Cooks is. We've played it a few times in like the UEC in these battalion events, and it's always one of the best maps for like battalion style play, where you actually fix up, you stand there, and you exchange shots, and then eventually somebody just edges it, and it leads to a big charge and fucking limbs everywhere. And it's a good time.
Sure.
And of course, as you say, 6th New York YouTube channel, most viewed video, subscribe. No, it's a good map. It's a great map. I think if I didn't choose Cooks, and obviously completely unrelated to the 6th New York Cavalry, I do love Pry Ford. I can't help it. It's just a fun map. Do you know what it is? It's because there is like there's a technique to people that always try and do. They always go for that right hand rock, but I notice a lot these days is CSA kind of flip the script on that. They don't stand on that rock anymore. It's not a massive map. It's pretty much all fought in one big field. But for the fact that you have firstly cavalry for Union, secondly artillery on both sides, which I always think is a good feature of maps. Cook's Countercharge is the exception. It's just a really good map, of course. But the fact that you have these things, and yeah, I don't know. I think the Cav factor obviously has a big influence on me, but it is just a fun map. We played it recently in TSA, had a whale of a time, some really fun moments in that. And the CSA guys that we played against did pretty damn well as well. It's a surprisingly close map, despite the Cav on the Union, when both sides really give it their all. So I think between the two, yeah, Pry Ford or Cook's Countercharge for me. I don't particularly have a favourite of the other map sets. They're kind of very, I don't know, I guess kind of middle ground for me, I guess. But I agree with you on Schoolhouse Ridge and Colquitt's. Those are definitely two of the better maps just because of the amount of variety you get in how they're played. And again, both maps have artillery. Always a good thing, I think, for those maps. So, but yeah, Frog or Pot. Oh, in fact, hold on. I've just noticed. I'm really sorry, Patterson. Did you want to join us? I noticed you're in the audience. If you want to, I can drag you up. Just gonna sit there in silence.
Yeah, imagine if he's
he's there outside the window with his binoculars, like, what's going on?
Yeah. All right, we'll come back to that. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, Frog or Pilot, sorry, did you have a favorite map that you love more than others?
I think this is a really tough question to ask.
It really is, I
know. Honestly, I'd be biased if I said any of the Cav maps. Pry Mill, Pry Ford.
Oh, you actually like Pry Mill? Because I hate it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard someone say they like Pry Mill.
I know you get Cav, but for me that is not enough of a reason on Pry Mill, just because of how the map is, But fair play if you like it, yeah.
No, it's purely through the aspect of just having cavalry. It's nothing to do with the map. The map itself actually sucks. It's just the fact that
just for having the carbine and pistol. Yeah, fair play,
exactly.
Fair play.
Yeah,
go respect it. All right, fair enough.
yeah. But if I had to pick two other skirmish maps, it would be on the Antietam rotation. Because Harper's Ferry is kind of trash. South Mountain's kind of trash. No offense to the developers, but I will.
Don't you ever talk down on South
Mountain. You think they're watching this? Get out of
it. But yeah, as I said, I want to put two maps out there that I don't think get mentioned a ton, but I like Hooker's Push. Really like Hooker's Push. The fact that you get all three aspects of the game: a full cornfield, and then the artillery behind, and then once you exit the cornfield, you have this huge field in front of you where you can actually reenact line battles, and it's kind of cool that you get to see that open space and fight for the point. So yeah, I really like Hooker's Push. You can flank a crap ton all the time. And I also like to bring in Otto and Sherrick Farm. Now,
Ooh.
yeah,
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh my.
yeah,
You are
Okay.
playing
Okay.
yeah.
with fire
Let's
there,
hear him.
man.
Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
Okay,
Let him cook.
so when Union spawns in, the play is to go for the stone wall immediately. Take the stone wall. It's right in front of you. Sometimes the CSA rushes the stone wall there immediately from where they spawn on point, but especially on low pop, Auto and Sherrick Farm is like the funnest map I've ever played, because when you go in and you charge that little stone wall area there, and then you can shoot the CSA charging from above as they try and get back down in the basement there. And then Parker and Ibby, you like that rock position on the right, shooting uphill.
Oh, at the base of the
Yeah,
hill, kind of, you mean?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I like that map too. I think it's a smaller map than most, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
could be
small.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like probably house small, I think, almost. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like those two both. If I had to, I don't really like Conquest that much. I don't know what it is. I don't like Conquest, and there's a reason. It's because when I know there's a ticket drain that involves when you cap the points and all that, but I feel like when you charge in and you wipe a bunch of enemies, yeah, the tickets drain a lot through the tickets, but you don't see as much of an effect of what you actually did, like you would on the skirmish or contention for that matter. So if you cap the point in the contention, it goes down a whole morale bar. You don't really see that on conquest. You just see the ticket drain from capping the points. So I think with skirmish and contention, you actually see what your stuff when you charge or you fire or you wipe a line, what it does better, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then I think contention just fighting for a single point, it gets bloody and it gets fun and it gets all that. And when you just charge and wipe and shoot, and it gets all mess, and that's what I love about it. So yeah,
I think contention borrows from what's the game mode on Battlefield? Is it Frontlines or something? Where it like moves forwards and backwards, kind of.
I think so, but obviously a little different.
I think
Yeah,
it
of
is called
course. Yeah.
Frontline. Yeah, I think it is called Frontline.
Yeah, I remember when it
yeah,
first came out. That was like the less linear, of course, because it's not so much like advancing a step left or a step right. But that's kind of the best way I could think of it. But I think with Conquest, the one thing I would like to see like changed. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the game mode, but one thing which I definitely think needs to change is the counter attack mechanic. 3 minutes is way too short to actually do anything because it takes
yeah,
30 seconds to, I think, bring it down and then another 30 seconds to raise it. So you've only actually really got 2 minutes to get to a point, dislodge one of the defending units that are presumably protecting it with their bloody lives by this point because you're in a
yeah.
counter attack. And it just feels too tight, with how big some of these maps are. I don't know exactly how long would be better. I would suggest at least 5 minutes, maybe even more. I don't know. But yeah, for sure. They need to extend that mechanic just a little bit. I think it'd be a lot more enjoyable because let's be honest, do you remember the game we did recently on UEC where we were behind, we came back and we capped all 3 points and won with 3 minutes on the clock? It was a great move, but it did feel like we only really won for probably about 5 to 10 minutes of that game. And the first part we were kind of getting hit pretty hard, So it was a good move. That's the thing. It was a great move by us to turn the field like that, but it was kind of like we didn't actually hold them that much. Exactly. That shouldn't have been like the deciding, like, oh, we won the game now, if you get what I mean.
It makes you feel like you won on a technicality instead of your actual battle.
Exactly. It's like the people that don't like the counter attack mechanic in skirmish, right? Where you recap and they're in last stand. It's kind of a similar kind of thing where on certain maps if they cap early, just run at them until they go into last stand, right? It's kind of a similar thing, I guess, in the sense that I don't know. I guess it becomes a little bit more kind of game orientated, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, we're playing a game to win each time we do it, but in terms of how satisfying it feels when you win, sometimes a little bit less so, I'd say. And to be honest, some of the worst events we've gone to are where one team somehow captures all 3 points at the start and then the game's just over in 10 minutes. It's like, how the hell did that happen?
Makes it feel a little bit unplayable, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, and sometimes it's literally luck of the draw because normally they obviously bulk send to a middle point. They each go to like their quote unquote safe point, and then there's, it's like a tussle. But every now and again, some weird and wonderful thing happens where one side decides to get really adventurous and just take all of them, and that's it. Game over, And it's really hard to get back from the main spawn to the front each time because of how big these maps are. They stitch together either multiple areas of the skirmish maps or multiple areas of the drill camp, and to get from main spawn to the front each time probably takes at least 3 minutes on some of these maps if you're not sprinting. So, it's a great game mode. It's not that it's like inherently flawed. It's just, sometimes it can feel a bit arbitrary, I guess. But...
You know what though? On the topic of conquest, this is a bit of a, I guess, devolving a little bit from the question, but I guess that's what a podcast is. Talking about
Yeah,
whatever you want.
absolutely. Yeah.
But I feel like Conquest. This is actually one of the first comments I made when Conquest first came out. It's a bit of an unexpected release for a lot of us, for me at least. And one of the first comments I made is that this mode would be really good with mounted cavalry. Now, hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Obviously, the maps are okay with exceptions, but a lot of the maps are bigger, in size on Conquest of Contention because they have to fit in more points. Now, the reason why I say a lot of these will be more enjoyable with mounted cavalry and potential and horse artillery as well, mind you, is because due to the maps being larger, you could have mounted cavalry riding to the points first. Not to cap it. I don't think they should be allowed to cap it, but sort of get up there and start securing ground early. And I feel like this will add a very interesting dynamic to the game, and it also follows, a lot of how these Civil War engagements went with, maybe not always cavalry, but I guess the forward element of the army, engaging in a bit of a skirmishing action, and then the rest of the line infantry moving up and forming battle lines. And same with the horse artillery, the ability to be able to, manipulate where the artillery is. On a lot of these conquest and contention maps, artillery can be in a bit of a flawed, disadvantaged position. So being able to, get up on the horse and wheel those cannons and limbers away to somewhere that's probably a lot more advantageous is definitely going to, I think, help with that. But with mounted cavalry, I think if they could ride ahead and maybe have a small skirmish over a point, it could help the game feel a little more alive, and it would follow a more, I guess, follow a historical sort of engagement. The cavalry engaging first or skirmishes engaging first. And I feel like that would that's obviously that's not going to fix the mode. Adding a different branch isn't going to fix the mode. Not that it's necessarily broken. I just think it's in a very strange place. I feel like when contention came out, a lot of people just don't want to play conquest anymore because
Yeah.
contention kind of just did conquest better. I'm gonna be completely honest. Contention has its flaws for sure, but it's definitely a lot more enjoyable than conquest. And I think maybe, I don't know if we ever get 400 players. I mean, 300 players already can be a little unstable at times. But if we ever get more players, then maybe Conquest will be a little more enjoyable because it can fit more people in. I don't know. That's a question for the future. But I do definitely understand the sort of, I guess the not the hate on Conquest, but the dislike for Conquest, because it's definitely it's a strange mode. It's in this very very strange place right now. I think they did that update where did they add more points or is it still free? Oh no, that was for contention. But
Yeah.
there's still only 3 points on conquest, which is fine. It's cool and all. Some of the maps are fairly enjoyable. What's that one on the other side of Burnside's Bridge? Not Limestone Bridge, but there's one on the like the Ottawa Sherrick side. I don't remember the name of it, but that's quite an enjoyable one. But yeah, Conquest, I understand the dislike for it. It's definitely a bit of a controversial mode, and I know it did cause a lot of controversy because a lot of people maybe didn't want it or were a bit surprised because it did come as a bit of a surprise, honestly. But
Yeah.
I'm glad they took lessons from it, though, the developers, and made contention, which is a enjoyable game mode in my opinion. But
Yeah.
on to Pilots Ottoman Sherrick. That's it.
Oh
Mm.
god,
Hang him
I'm gonna
up.
get
I got some.
I'm gonna get backlash, ain't
I
I?
got some qualms with this one. All right.
Oh, okay.
Do you know
On
what
to
I...
Sherrick.
Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah, you
No,
go
no,
first.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing I don't like about it is I hate the fact that the Union, first of all, has way too many tickets, and it leads them to play a certain way, which just devolves into just fucking get in there, like, every time. Like, it's obviously slightly hypocritical, because I know that's the way to play it, and I know that's whenever we play it, we do that, but it's kind of a weird map to have such a big advantage on as Union. Like, it's not like River Crossing or Burnside's Bridge, where you obviously have to cross something which is clearly unfavorable to you. This is just a fairly mirrored map. There's obviously like a slight kind of decline in the middle. There's artillery on either side, but one side has what 55% extra tickets, Like
Yeah.
it's a weird ass map to have such a big advantage on. And to be honest, I think most of the times when Union wins Orange Sherrick, it's nothing to do with tactics. It's nothing to do with excellence. It's
Yeah.
just get there and let's kill these guys, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I
I
don't like it
agree with that.
massively. But
Yeah, that is one of the issues I have with the map. But another issue is the spawns. The spawns for both sides are in very silly locations. Now, I'm going to put it into, I'm going to just name an example here. So the CSA for the first, I think on any defending map for the first 3 spawns, I believe, or it might be 4, but we'll call it 3 for now, just for ease's sake. For the first 3 spawns, the defending team spawns at the point of contention. Now, normally that's fine because they need to spawn there. Gives they need to get in their positions. That's okay. But the issue with Alton Sherrick Farm is that the point of contention is very close to the stone wall in front of Union spawn, and now given the Union very easily can counter it by just running up to the stone wall, that's not an issue. But if we're in a scenario where the Union's got like wiped like badly, then it's very easy for the CSA to run up on the stone wall and start pouring into Union spawn. Also very easily for CSA artillery to fire into the Union spawn as well. Now a lot of events restrict that, fair enough. But to events that don't, or more competitive events, it's very annoying. It's very noticeable when you're getting killed in spawn. Same thing the other way around. If the Union's taking the entire field, the CSA spawn's very easy to see. Now again, you can run away. You can find there's places to hide. There's always a place to hide on Shark Farm. You can go in the cornfield for the CSA, or for the Union. You can run to the left, I guess, behind the barn. But the spawns are so exposed that
yeah, that's true.
sometimes it
Actually, you're right.
feels so. Yeah, there's no respite. The moment you spawn in, you are back in the fight. You might as well be spawning on the flag at that point. There's no really spawn in. I've had a few events where I've spawned in and artillery's killed me straight away.
Yeah,
And again, I'm fair enough. The shot was a good one, but it also feels kind of. I feel kind of what's the word for it? I guess bullshitted. Kind of spawn in and die instantly.
yeah,
If I spawned in, for example, on let's say, so I guess a river crossing, maybe we could say, and they hit our spawn, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, fair enough. It was a good shot. I can't complain at someone being genuinely more skilled. But on Otto and Sherrick, the angle to the Union spawn is a lot easier. You can see it clear as day from the Confederate artillery positions. I think there's 2 guns on that hill that can see it very easily. And I think something needs to be done. Maybe Union spawn needs to be behind the barn and Confederate spawn somewhere else, maybe in the cornfield, who knows. But that's a big qualm with the map. And yeah, the tickets, I don't know why they're that high. I like what they tried to do with Otto and Sherrick, this kind of close quarters fighting in these houses, in between the houses. But it just, in practice, it always turns to this charge fest and this melee fest to just get in there and shoot people point blank and get in with the bayonet. And if that's your cup of tea, then it's a very enjoyable map for you. But a lot of the time, I find myself sitting looking at the deployment screen, and I'm like, man, am I even playing the game, or am I looking at the pretty font and the pretty paper?
yeah,
So that's my main qualms with it, to be honest. Not that you can enjoy yourself, you can certainly have fun, but it's a lot of flaws with it. I think it's one of those poorer designed maps. It feels weird saying poorer design because it's based on a historical place, but obviously they can adjust the spawns and stuff a little bit.
yeah. Well, he's waited a long time, so I think we should go to Frog. Frog, do you have a favorite map in the game?
Right. Well, again, I think this obviously shows experience because my maps are completely different, and I'm sure they're going to cause some discussion. So I've got 3 maps,
Okay.
and I'll explain the reasons why. So Washington Street is one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's not
Piper's
bad.
Farm
Respectable.
and Bloody Lane. Obviously, the Bloody Lane is
I was waiting for you to say
a
bloody
regimental
Lane.
one. Just because it holds like a place in the 88th. It's something that we get to play as our 69th. We get to use Buck and Ball and cause chaos. I like whenever we play it. Even sometimes if we win or lose, I still have fun because it's one of those where it's either going to go one way or the other, and you can know by halfway through the game where it's going to go because the tickets just get eviscerated. But one of those. Piper's Farm, I feel it's just I play it a lot at Asia event, which I do, and I just like being able to adjust how I play with the people that I'm playing with. I feel like it's one of those where Union has more availability of where they're going from and to. So where I go to the Stonewall, people go to the Orchard and cause mayhem then, and then it gives you a bit of a pincer, which I enjoy doing. But again, that's something you can discuss and prove me wrong, because experience will probably tell you, oh, well, you shouldn't do that because then you could leave this open. It's one of those. And then Washington Street, I just like playing it when we did Southern Aggression. That put it up in my estimations when we played it that once. I think Pilot, you in fact led the round on Washington Street where we won. I like when we wheel onto the streets. We did put a massive volley down, and then we wheel all the way back around, get our load, and we just carry on doing that. I really enjoyed that. I feel like it just adds a little aspect of different play style because it's an urban map. It's with the houses there. It gives you a lot more way to use cover, a lot more way to do those wheeling volleys. That's why I like Washington Street. So with those three, if I had to pick one to be my favourite, it will probably be Piper's. But yeah, there we go. Any way you guys think about that? I want to hear what you have to say about my decisions.
You know what? I don't mind Piper. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I don't love it. I think is the reason why it's not up there for me. For a map, it's pretty good. There's a more than one way to play it as well, which is always good with these maps. Again, as I said earlier, plenty of battery options for both sides. And a decent sized map. It's not like funneled into like one location. It's pretty expands how far you can go to the flanks as Union, and how the CSA defends. I actually remember one of my favorite events was on Piper Farm. It was a UEC event where we played as Confederates. I can't remember exactly who we played with. I know that we were sharing a flag or very close to both the 8th Florida and the 3rd Alabama, and obviously a bunch of other guys. But it's a real gritty defense map that I like because of how the terrain lays out. So the point itself isn't quite at the crest of that hill. You can obviously go a little bit further back and shoot from up there. Artillery can do its thing. The Union has that big stone wall, which can be tempting to obviously to mass on, but now artillery with the updates from however long ago it was now can blow that wall into pieces. So no, Piper's a good map actually. And for Washington Street, I think of the Harper's Ferry urban maps, that's probably my favourite one of those. Because it's not like, as I said with Piper, it's not like a funneled map where you end up getting stuck. There's a lot of different like ways you can run around that map for both sides, especially for Confederates. I think it's a pretty fun map because there's so many little avenues you can go down and find yourself a spot. Obviously, some of the fences you can and can't vault. That obviously adds another little fun bit to it as well. But no, I agree. They're both definitely good maps. So that I don't think your suggestions are anywhere near as bad as you as you feared they were. I think they're both pretty good actually.
Okay, good. Phew.
But Bloody Lane is no, I'm joking.
Right, let's you big rat.
Nah, Bloody Lane's alright too. I think Bloody Lane is kind of tough just for the same reason Otter and Sherrick I don't like the ticket advantage for Union. Similar thing for Bloody Lane. It's still a good map though. We played it back to back the weekend, Friday and Saturday. In fact, we did it
yes,
in Southern Aggression, then we did it in UEC, and that was very different results. And you saw the difference because the Union on the Southern Aggression event was very tentative to get in there and use that advantage and use the buck and ball up close. I think when we did the UEC battles, we were a lot more aggressive with it. We got closer, and obviously that paid dividends in the end. So it's still a good map. And obviously for the 69th for you guys, just like how 4th PA for us on Pride Ford is big. Yeah. I get that entirely, you know. So no, they're both all three of them actually. Okay. Decent choices.
Well, I mean, like with Bloody Lane as well, as I said, it can either go one or two ways, and you know halfway through where it's going to go. It's very hard to like sway it. I'm going to do that's a hot take, but that's what I've experienced at least with my 160 hours.
Yeah.
I've got a little addition. What's all of your least favorite maps? I don't know if I can add this, but I just one because mine's Progress Mill. I hate that map. I can't stand it.
Yeah, Progress does suck. I think one of my least favorite maps is probably Reno's Fall.
Okay.
Bloody hate it. To be honest, it's the Union artillery position is dumb as hell for a start. They have to roll it somewhere to even use it. And the actual point of contention makes no sense to me on that map. Like, you know, a lot of these point of contentions are obviously not single points. They're not like a small area. They're very expanse cap zones. And the Reno's Fall one is a great example of an awful cap zone because the flags are like over that little set of rocks in the middle of that big field, like going downhill. But the cap zone, well, at least in my opinion, the best place for the cap zone really is anywhere near that stone wall, which is what 50 yards away.
It's quite a trek.
Yeah, it's just a weird design map, I think, with the zones and stuff. It can be fun to play. We've had some really fun events on there. I know we had a great event where I think you led Ibby on Reno's Fall. Or was it me? I don't know, actually. It might have been me. Actually, no, sorry, no, it was myself.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
we had a really fun event, but you were there as well. I remember it was a really fun time as CSA on that map. But seeing as we mostly Union, yeah, I'm not a fan, to be honest.
I'm gonna add 2 to this list here. I think I won't get if I get backlash for this, fair play, but I don't think I will. Maryland Heights sucks.
Okay,
fair
yeah.
play, yeah.
Agreed.
However, I did enjoy it once when we played CSA because I feel like when you have the higher ground on the map, it becomes more fun. But as the Union, it gets so boring, you know, having to constantly run up the hill, or you know, sometimes you have to actually sprint to actually get up in certain places, and that's a little annoying to me. But yeah, Maryland Heights and Cox's Push,
Oh,
terrible. Hate that map.
with
It's-
Maryland Heights. Oh, go on. Sorry, Parker. Go on.
No, you crack on, buddy. Go for it.
Gotcha. With Maryland Heights, I've only played it a few times. When I have, it's really fun up until you lose the point, and then at that point, it's just up that hill. It's just you can't do a thing. So it's good fun until then, and if it's early on, you just might as well just throw your musket on the floor and sulk in a bush.
Yeah.
Do you know what, the only reason I like Maryland Heights is because of the capacity that it gave us to reenact Gettysburg.
Yes.
That is the only truly good experience on Maryland Heights, where we charged downhill, and it was very fun. I think the first time we did Gettysburg, the charge downhill was a lot better than the second time, ironically. But it was a very useful map for that purpose, for the reenactment events and stuff.
And you've just gave me an idea for one of the later questions. There you go.
Oh, well, you know what? do you know what? The good thing about these podcasts is because they're like open format. Obviously, we have some questions to guide us, but they go in all kinds of directions that, I won't lie, we probably won't go through all the things that I've planned, just because I'm looking at the time. And we've already been going for almost 15 minutes, which is crazy. It doesn't feel like that, but I think what we'll do is we'll have one more question from the first part, and then we'll move on to the second one.
Yeah.
So I think the very last question of that first part, we can end with that instead. So what should we go with? The one before the last one is a bit iffy. We'll leave that for now. We'll go with the third one, actually. I think that's a good one. And that brings in the rest of the community too. So do you guys have and by the way, just like with the maps, you can pick more than one, because this is very hard to land on a single unit in this question. But do you have a favorite unit in the community that you like to play either with, as in as allies, or against as opposition?
Well, again, it's probably biased, and you'll probably go, we paid you to say it, but it's the 6th, just because we have such camaraderie. I know we're twin.
Huzzah!
I know it's the NYV, but it's just we go to each other's events. We go to each other's drills. It's just proper good stuff, like wholesome stuff. Like, it's not just people we play games with; they're friends, people that you can message and be like, what are you doing? How are you doing? Like one of those things, which I really enjoy. And since I've been part of the 88th, being able to come with you guys, do things with you, it's just excellent. And in game, you're marvelous. We work well together, and you're just generally very supportive and nice people. So my answer for that is the 6th.
Except pilot, but yeah, sure.
All right, you know what?
Shout out to Hannah. What was the other thing? To play against, probably ANV. They're good to play against because they're good, they're strong, and it's nice to hear them shouting. There you go. Sorry, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, of course, I asked this question slightly as a loaded question because there's a reason we're in a group together as NYV. I think the character of both our units is very similar, despite being very different in terms of cav and infantry and obviously everything that comes with that. You see it when we play in events as NYV, in Southern Aggression most particularly. It's just non-stop fun. Like, I think some of the best videos on the YouTube channel for the 6th are probably those TSA events. Like, very recently, in fact, yesterday, we uploaded the, oh god, what map? Hagerstown map from the weekend before. I don't know if you remember that when we played a CSA.
Oh yeah.
And that was a really fun map. I really enjoyed that one. We had some really good moments where we formed up, shot out bigger units than us in 2 ranks, doing our thing, firing by rank, some charges. It had a bit of everything, that game. And that's part and parcel of what we have as a relationship with our 2 units. So yeah, definitely with you guys in the 88th, you're my top choice. I think it's important that I pick another one just so that people listening to this right now don't go, oh well, you're just you're just one-upping everybody and ego boost stroking and stuff, but no, I do have a couple other units that I enjoy playing with, and ironically the main one which I'm going to say now is not even Union, it's actually CSA, and that's the 8th Florida under Danny and Hog. Really smart bunch of guys. They obviously a UEC regiment. There's preconceptions of the UEC which do not suit them at all. They're a very smart group. They understand the game very well. And they understand how to play the game very well. Like, if you're sharing a company with them, if you find yourself up against a bigger unit that's charging at you, you look to the flank and suddenly 8 Florida's there. Or likewise, if you charge into a bigger unit and you're perhaps maybe up against it, even losing, all of a sudden you hear Danny and the guys coming behind, and it's a very good mutual understanding that I think, especially in the UEC, when we play with them, we don't even have to necessarily speak that much. We just know how to help each other. And it just goes well. I really enjoy those games. That Piper Farm game that I mentioned a lot earlier, that was with them, especially, that we just helped each other. And Danny, I remember, said the same thing in UEC in the server not long ago. We both really enjoyed that game. And we lost it, is the funny thing. We didn't even win that game, but it was a really enjoyable game.
You don't have to win, or you don't have to win. You can lose as well, and you still have fun in the game. That's what War of Rights is.
Yeah, it's if you genuinely have a good performance and you try hard, you get some good moments in, you can lose overall, and you can still have a lot of fun. And sometimes losing is more enjoyable. I mean, Cook's Countercharge is a map which naturally don't win much, but it's still definitely one of my favorite maps in the game. So yeah, I'd put 8 Florida up there after, of course, the 88th. But if I had to pick an outside NYV, then 8 Florida's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a shout out to the 20th MA, Henkel. I like playing with him. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Henkel and the boys, they're a fun group. Fairly new as well, but they're doing pretty good for themselves. They mix it up as well with not just playing as infantry, playing as a skirmishing group, playing as artillery. And of course, I'm sure a lot of you who are listening know, but Hinkle's a good friend to me and also to the unit and to a lot of the community. So it's a fun bunch of guys to play with for sure. A Pilot, do you have a group that you love or playing with or against?
Well, I'd be an asshole if I didn't say the 88th. So
anyway, so say who you
want. But yeah, the 88th, love you guys. Nice having you guys in all the events. Yeah, there you go, perfect. If I had to pick another Union unit, obviously 20th Mass, love Henkel, great guy. Always fun seeing him in game and in pubs and all that stuff. But I think in terms of CSA, I'd have to agree with 8 Florida on that. Really like Danny. As you said, smart group of guys. Really understand the game well. And then I guess I'll echo what Frog said. A and V. I have a lot of respect for them. Killer's a good dude. Years ago, and this is Parker, you'll remember this. When 5th US was going through a tough time, and a certain someone had to take a month off. I was going to a lot of coordinations. I think you had work or something like that.
Yeah.
I was going to pick a patrol coordination, and that's where I met Killer actually. And he was very understanding in terms of what was going on. I told him, hey, I'm kind of new to this, and he was a very nice guy in terms of this is where you put your numbers. Here's the sheet, yeah, so and A&V in general, they take it 2 units. They're not sitting back and shoot volleys all the time. They charge in there, they get their hands dirty. They're not afraid to all out charge and win the game and do that stuff. So yeah, that's probably for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Killer's another one of those guys that understands how to play the game, and how to not just play the game like with a plan, but how to turn things around when things are going shit. He knows, like on the same level as like us, for example. We know if things aren't working, that we have to change something. And Killer's nearly always in the exact same wavelength as us in that sense. Full disclosure, as a HRE admin, I can say sometimes I have a few little issues with their unit, but comparatively from when they joined the event to how they are now, I think they're one of the best additions we had to HRE in the last year or so. Them, if you put in hoods as the same package, because they're obviously so closely intertwined, those are two really good units. Both to play with and against. They're a fun bunch of guys in coordinations. You always see that too, with A&V and Killer, of course, but also with the hoods guys like Cloud and Engel. Yeah, they're just a fun bunch of guys. They're the kind of people that make you realize War of Ice is not just like regiments, but it's just groups of guys and girls. We jump online and hang out, and ultimately we kill each other, but we don't actually kill each other. Then we just fucking have a talk about it, and it's good fun. So
we're gamers.
yeah.
We're gamers at the end of the day. We play games to have fun and talk about it at the end. That's what it is. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that kind of concludes the first part of today's podcast. We apparently can't stop talking because we're already at the hour mark or thereabouts, but that's the point of these things. So,
That's
but
what
because
happens when you invite Ibidar to a podcast.
Ibidar, the king of waffle, yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say brothers are waffling bear,
Waffling, yeah.
Did a lot of waffles still.
For sure, yeah. But what we wanted to do, especially full disclosure, we actually planned to do this podcast before, but just because of various commitments, it's obviously been delayed a bit. But we wanted to end the last part of it really by having a quick little review of 2023. And there's kind of 3 like informal awards that we wanted to do based on how we found 2023. One of them we've talked about pretty extensively, so we'll do that one first because I think that'll be easiest maybe. And then we'll go on to the other 2, which will be a lot more discussion and nominations, as it were, because that could lead anywhere. So the first one, which we've kind of talked about, is the best regular event of 2023. Now, I may be wrong. I think we mostly settled on one of 2 here, either HRE or TSA. So I'll tell you what we'll do, actually. If you guys want to, on the, the comment section of the stage, if you want to type the answer that you want to put, and then I'll count down from 3. So 3, 2, 1, and then hit enter, and then we'll see which wins, so that nobody's swaying anybody by talking more about either event. But I think those are probably the 2 finalists. I think that's probably fair to say. So feel free to write down either of the 2, either HRE or TSA, and we'll see what comes out top. I'll do the same. And then we'll go for it. All right, everyone got an answer?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, 3, 2, 1, press it. Oh, well, that's fairly conclusive.
Frog, I thought you didn't type anything.
Frog didn't type anything.
It says I can't put the message. It says failed messages.
Oh, do you know what? I just realised because you don't have a role in this server for this channel. My bad. What did you put?
HRE.
Never mind. We're unanimous. Right, good stuff.
I mean, it's going to be very, very close because, like, in a year, as you said, Southern Aggression will probably take the biscuit. But because I've had more events with HRE, I feel I can say that more confidently.
Yeah, and also if we had a best new event category, I think TSA's wiping the floor with that.
Easy.
And this time next year, I don't know, Victor, you might have to, improve your event, kid, because TSA's coming pretty hot and pretty fast. So they're both great events, but yeah, HRE is definitely up there. The next one is completely down to you guys. This isn't one we have to agree on, but this is just a chance to throw something out there that you've particularly enjoyed, and that is your best moment or your best memory from 2023. I know I've got one already in mind, so I can go first if you guys need a moment to think about it, or do you already have something in mind?
Sure, you go first.
Yeah? Okay, awesome. So mine's technically actually 2, but there's one specific moment that I'm going to go for first, and that is the very specific moment of the Gettysburg event, the charge of the 1st Minnesota. That might be the best 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it was of War of Ice gameplay I've ever done. If I remember to, I will put an overlay right now of some of the event that we went to. It was part of the big reenactment events we do as a community every few months or so. We try our best to come as close as we can to reenacting some of the biggest battles of the Civil War. So we've done Gettysburg, we've done Shiloh, we've done Fredericksburg, Stones River recently as well. You know, a lot of these big battlefields, and that Gettysburg event, that second day doing that first Minnesota charge was honestly so fun. The Gettysburg event itself of last year was something which I tried to do my best to put together and conduct, because the guy who normally does it, Sir Knight, he's busy with a lot of things with real life and whatnot now, so I said I would step up for that. It was a lot of stress, it was a lot of effort, but that specific moment, to be honest, was my highlight of probably the whole year, aside from obviously forming the sixth, which is definitely close. For a specific moment or memory, the charge we did as the first Minnesota into a wave of CSA was crazy, and I think all of you guys were there for that as well. I don't know how well you remember it, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, for me that's number one.
I remember it vividly, very vividly.
Yeah.
I wasn't a part of it yet.
Oh, you weren't there, man.
I wasn't there, man. You don't know.
But Wesley was there, and the 88th was there in strength, and they were a big part of it too. So you know, you can find the recordings and the overviews of these battles on YouTube. I think did BLN cover it? I can't actually remember now, but I'm sure somebody did. And yeah, have a watch of it. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it too. So, but yeah, anybody else? Anything you want to throw out there from last year that you really enjoyed?
Go on, Pilot. I reckon you go.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Shiloh. I know we weren't the 6th New York yet. We were 4th PA. But a lot of us, in fact, like almost probably 80% of us were in 4th PA, and then we just went over to the 6th New York and formed the NYV with the 88th here. But yeah, I really enjoyed Shiloh. I think in the actual moments when we were actually playing, I don't think we realized like how many bloopers we actually produced during that 3-day time. And then I watched the bloopers, that's when I realized, oh shit, we were funny as hell. So
yeah, I think we have a large part to play for BLN's success. So I'm just saying, when you start earning money in royalties, BLN, you owe me, Pilot, Henkel, a little bit of money. So
yeah, it was an overall fun event. I think it was the first day. We were reenacting. I think the Confederate push. I forget what part of the battle it was, but holding alt and then looking right and just seeing like a massive brigade like marching across. I think it was like Cox's push or a contention map where we were at the time, and then like slowly marching towards Union skirmishers. That was just amazing to see, the fact that such a community can put something on like that. And then obviously the little I forget what part. I think it was the if I had to put in another moment, I would definitely say Gettysburg. Little Round Top is always fun. You know, one of the most popular movies out there is Gettysburg. So reenacting that famous 20th Maine charge and is amazing.
The infamous moment where Corporal Pilot shouted "left wing, right wheel," and then his PC crashes.
Mention that. Yeah, left wing, right wheel disconnects.
yeah.
So yeah, 2 moments of 2023 I really enjoyed personally. So
yeah, absolutely. Ibby, you got one?
Yeah, I also have to agree with Parker. The first Minnesota charge and, well, in my opinion, Little Round Top, very honestly some of the most fun I've ever had in this game. If you're in the six, or if you were I don't remember when it wasn't really a speech I gave, but it was more of a little talk. If you were there, then you know how I hold the reenactment events very close to my heart, and when they're done right, of course. um, but they're very, very enjoyable, and it's very. I don't know if "intimate's" the right word, because that also has a bit of a different connotation when used in a different sort of sense. But it had a very intimate connection with me, particularly the first Minnesota charge, because um, for this, I felt a lot more immersed than I usually do in the game, and remembering that this happened. It should actually happen in real life. And while we can't reenact it exactly, we're doing our best, and we're getting a glimpse into what stuff might have looked like. Just a small glimpse into history, and it was very enjoyable. The first Minnesota charge, felt like the first Minnesota charge. It felt hopeless, but also spurred on by the willingness to I guess sacrifice yourself. And it was really enjoyable, honestly. And the little round top, same thing. We got to play as skirmishers. We've trained a lot for it. Um, and when we did the skirmishing, it was always fun. We did a very specific maneuver, which won't go too much in depth into, but it's basically retreating as a skirmish line, and this sort of gradual retreat up the hill, and then rejoining the line with our muskets and having a lot of fun. So Gettysburg's definitely up there for me, and now my mind has gone blank. So I was gonna say something else, but I've appear to have forgotten it. But whatever. Gettysburg was a very enjoyable time. Honestly, if you ever get a chance to go to one of these reenactment events, I don't know what the next one will be, but if you ever get a chance to go to it. Now, very quickly, we're limited on time. But at the moment, Fredericksburg. Uh,
Oh
me,
yeah.
Parker, and Patterson, who's also in this unit, 6 New York. We went as messengers, and even though I wasn't playing necessarily as part of the line, I wasn't actually, I wasn't killing anyone. It was very nice watching the reenactment. It was a very enjoyable reenactment, especially the assault on Marie's Heights. I think that was very well executed. It was very well done, and really paid homage to the battles. But I'll cut myself off there so I don't waffle on any longer.
Yeah, fair enough. I think just quickly to shout out for the whole reenactment events. A lot of the guys that attend them will know him well, but for anyone who doesn't, there is a guy who almost single-handedly puts together the scripts and the planning for these entire events. From the 52nd New York, his name is Andrew Walsh. His current rank is sergeant. If he hasn't changed, I believe he's still a sergeant. It's really hard to describe his attention to detail. He could find a needle in a haystack, put it that way. Honestly, so much respect for that guy. He makes these events. He literally makes these events, like he makes them what they are. So yeah, just if you're listening, Andrew, yeah, so much respect and appreciation for what you do for these events, because it's phenomenal. I know, like for the Gettysburg event, I mean, I was only really putting things together. I was just literally bringing these putting the blocks together, so to speak. But you made the entire blocks in the first place, like yeah, it's really incredible what you do. So yeah, shout out to you. But yeah, Frog, do you have a favorite memory of 2023? I know you are fairly new from that year, probably, but if you have anything that stands out to you.
I do. I was literally just about to shout out Andrew Walsh for the Stones River one. That was my first reenactment that I played, and he expertly managed that script. He made YouTube videos for us to watch for all the units to make sure that they knew exactly what they were doing. Oh my word! And Uncle Dragon helped on that one as well, I think. Absolutely amazing attention to detail, as you said. But yeah, my favorite memory was going to be from that when the 88th New York were sitting by some tents while they were waiting. Well, they were setting up the ambush CSA, and we were all sat there in our tents chatting and stuff. It felt, again, the immersion that Ibby was talking about. The immersion in those events are just, you can't even get to grips with how it would have been back then. It's amazing how people can construct that in a game. It completely disconnects it from history and lets you see the horrors and the camaraderie and the brotherhood. It's amazing. That would be my favorite memory, but I'll also shout out the zombie mode that we played together at Halloween with the 6th and the 88. Remember when we formed a box in the cornrows, and we were just sat all along those fences holding off the zombies. That was really fun because it was the amount of noise going on around you. It's crazy. People shouting, going, ah, ah. Really quite funny. But yeah, those are my favourite two memories, I'd say. But the Stones River being the more prominent of the two. The zombies was more of a shout out and a second,
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny as well. We all landed on reenactment events pretty much. They really are impressive. And as Ibby said, I think a little bit earlier, yeah, if you ever get a chance to see them, a lot of you guys listening probably already take part in them. I'm sure you'll agree they are some of, if not the best and uh, most intricately coordinated and structured events of the community. So yeah, they definitely deserve that recognition in all of our best moments. Speaking of best things, now here's the big one. The one we've been building up to for our final little informal award of the year for 2023, and that is the MVP of 2023. What is the idea behind this one? Well, it can be a number of things. It can be a person, it can be a regiment, it can be an event, it can be pretty much anything in the War of Rights community that you think stands out head and shoulders above the rest for any reason, really, down to yourselves. I know I have an answer in mind, which really is, you know, the pinnacle for me. But I'm very interested to hear what you guys say first, especially if you have any different suggestions. Does anybody have a name, an event, a regiment, anything in mind that they want to throw out there?
I do.
Nope.
I've got. Oh, fair. Mine was going to be Catal because he did this the amount of work he puts in.
Well, okay. Fair enough. Kotar War of Rights, YouTuber, big YouTuber. Subscribe. Pilot. Any other suggestions?
Nope.
No. Okay, Ibby.
No.
Ibby, anyone you want to throw out there?
I agree with Frog on Kotal, but one person for me. This is more of a personal thing rather than I guess it's kind of going off the topic of the question, but fuck it. For me, Henkel. Honestly, Henkel has helped me through a lot of tough times, and he's always there. Always a very fun person to be around. Always making people laugh. Yeah, he's a very enjoyable guy to be around. Can be very silly, but that's also that's also his charm. So yeah, Henkel's helped me out through a lot of tough times, and unfortunately, no longer in the 6th New York, but he's got his own regiment, 20th Massachusetts, which I wish him the best of luck with. I think he is doing well as we speak. So yeah, Henkel, very good guy. Pleasure to know him and be his friend. But yeah, also Koto, very just straight up. I mean, even it's crazy because it's something as simple as recording like an event. He doesn't cut anything. It's uncut raw footage of an event, but it's the commentary. Honestly, the commentary is great, and it's difficult in a game like War of Rights. We have a 50-minute round to listen to someone commentate over that. It's very difficult, as a if I was a content creator, I would be kind of hit a brick wall, be like, what do I do? What do I talk about for those 50 minutes? But Koto does it really well. He doesn't talk too much that it gets boring, but he also, talks enough that we're not getting tired and it's fresh. And I also really like how he gets an even recording of every unit on the field, and he does those zoom outs where he hits the right mouse button. You can see all the flags and see what's going on in the bigger picture. So yeah, but I'm interested in what your suggestions, Parker.
Before you do that, I just want to also say something about Kotal because I feel like the only reason I said no is because I was gonna say Kotal and I just wanted to save that for you, Parker. But I will say something about him. I couldn't imagine myself doing what he does, like just watching the rounds. That would just personally get boring to me, and he does a great job doing it. Like, the fact that he's just able to put so much attention and detail into his videos, and catch everyone going and doing their movements at when they have their important moments. So yeah, I couldn't imagine myself doing it. He's a really good guy. I know he's in TSA coordination a lot. So when he's not when I'm not hearing his voice on the videos, he's actually a really nice guy in person. So yeah. So
Yeah. Firstly, to quickly go back to Ibby's putting Henkel down as well. Yeah, Henkel was a great lad. It physically hurt me when he said he wanted to form his own unit, just because it's somebody who I was looking forward to having alongside us for a long time. He was working his way up, and and was doing so at a good rate. If anything, he was working his way quicker than we were allowing for him, which is probably why, and fair enough so, that he wanted to obviously fast forward that a bit with his own unit. But yeah, he's a good lad, a very funny guy. Check out BLN's bloopers for Shiloh if you need any proof of that. And yeah, despite all those little random quirks and kind of funny things about him, he's actually a good person to talk to and connect with. When you're having a shit moment, he's very supportive and understanding. And likewise, when he's having a moment and he needs help, I hope that he feels the same way about us. But yeah, no, he's a great guy. Who knows? Maybe one day he'll come back home. But yeah, yeah, it's no secret. Kotar's winning it hands down for me. I think you guys already knew that, to be honest. There's a few people in the community that do commentary, either they're in units or that are just, straight up commentary people. So you've got, for example, Jehovah, who does a lot of the European side of the community, UEC specifically, or exclusively, in fact, I think maybe. And you have like BLN, who covers a lot of the American side of events, has also covered the reenactment events before as well. But I think Kotar is really I don't know exactly what it is. There's something about the way he does it, which is just like pretty much perfect with his commentary style. So one of the things like that I always, like Jehovah's a very good commentator too, but one of the things which I always looked forward to more is the overview of the field and looking at all the units involved. And one of Jehovah's like catchphrases is "We'll go with them," which is amazing because you see the very specifics, ins and outs of engagements and stuff. But it does mean that you're at risk of missing things elsewhere, and that's one of the things which Kotar very rarely does. Is he has a very good overview of these battles, and he finds the action and he follows it, and then he comes back again and he says, "Well, that's that. What else is going on?" And he makes an effort to look in on these units, like, and see how they're doing and stuff. And for a unit like ours in the 6th, where we're constantly pushing boundaries and going for flanks and stuff, it really is impressive that he manages to catch a lot of the weird and wacky shit that we do. Because there's no reason why he should be looking there, but I guess he sees our names and thinks maybe they're doing something dumb, maybe something good, who knows. So, I got a lot of respect for him. He's a great person as well, really down to earth and friendly guy. He organized the Stones River event himself, which is amazing too. And he's very generous and understanding. He gave his blessing when I said about when we first started this YouTube channel, and I said, would you mind if I use clips of us from your recordings as part of our bigger videos and stuff? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He didn't actually ask me for anything. He just said, yeah, absolutely. And I said, well, obviously I'll link you in the description and say courtesy of Kotar. And he didn't even say that. He just said, yeah, go for it. Which I think is a very it's testament to his kind of attitude. He wants the game to get bigger. He wants the community to grow. And he said it just because he thought that could help do that. So yeah, well, as you guys knew, I was probably always going to settle on his name, but yeah, I think he's definitely the MVP of 2023. If I'm correct, he started this whole thing in 2023, really going for it. And if anybody isn't yet subscribed to him, somehow, if you're watching this and you're subscribed here, then you bloody should be, to be honest. Do it right now. I'm interested to see how big he can get and how much more of a platform he can give this game. So yeah, Koto, very well deserved MVP of 2023. Congratulations. From our perspective, of course, because we're not the authority. But yeah, wonderful. So I think that actually comes to a nice conclusion for today's podcast. I promised the guys it would be about an hour, so I'm very sorry, my bad. But I would like to end with one final thing before we wrap it up, and that is one of the questions we were discussing before for this podcast, which I think would be a nice note to end on. For anybody who's watching this, perhaps who doesn't have the game, or who has the game but hasn't found a regiment that they like, or anything like that, So if anybody has something to say on this point, I'd love to hear it. And that is, if you could say or recommend one thing to people that are looking at buying the game, looking at jumping into the regimental community, or who are just otherwise unsure about, really throwing themselves into this game and this gaming community, what would that be? What would you recommend or suggest to them?
So Firstly, don't let certain elements of this community discourage you from wanting to play and buying the game. It's a well-known fact. I'm just gonna straight up address the elephant in the room. There's a lot of very strange individuals who play this game, and sometimes that can discourage a lot of new players from wanting to play the game. And I say, don't let that happen. Don't let them discourage you. Look for a group of guys that you enjoy playing with, and join them, play with them, and enjoy the game. That's honestly all it is. It took me, I mean, I started playing in early 2021, so it took me it's 2024 now, so 3-4 years. I don't know, fucking on maths. 3 years. Okay, my maths ain't good. Relax. But no, it took me about 3 years to find the unit that I which I'm in now, 6 New York. It took me about 3 years to find a unit I actually enjoyed myself in, and it's a process, but it's definitely worth it. I have a lot of fun now that I found the unit that I enjoy playing with, the group of people I enjoy playing with. So stick to it, stick to it. Find a regiment they would jump around. There's no shame, and a lot of people, they tend to be kind of laugh around, saying, you've been in this many regiments, but honestly, it's you have to think of it like this: what can a regiment offer you, not what can you offer that regiment? You know what I mean? You gotta look at it like that. What is that regiment offering you? If you're joining there and you're not having fun, you just leave and join another one until you find the right group of guys. So don't get discouraged, and definitely, I would highly recommend buying the game. It's got its flaws. Definitely not a perfect game. There's a lot of issues with it, but it's definitely an enjoyable game in the current state it is, and especially when you find the right group of guys to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an important note is regiments are like friendship groups, There's certain people you'll get on better with naturally, but they're not um they're not binding, You're ultimately you're playing War of Rights to have fun, maybe learn a bit more about the Civil War in a setting that you're interested in. But I guarantee you that even if you join a regiment and you don't enjoy or you don't have fun, there's at least another 5 out there that could very well be the place where you will find that experience and that enjoyment and that group that you're looking for. So yeah, definitely don't get discouraged by anything that may happen in public service, that may happen in maybe your first regiment you try. There's so many options out there.
So I've only been playing for 6 months, as I said, and I got recruited by my father. It was nepotism, you could say. But anyway, it's a game oriented around a lot of communication and camaraderie. So, as Ibby said, it's a game you need to find the right group of people to play. And I was lucky I landed on my feet and joined the 88th and the NYV, because you're not just there. You're obviously there to play War of Rights, but you're also there to make friends, and you can play other games as well. It's just a place. War of Rights is a place you can get into so many other things. So I'd say joining a regiment is very, very good. But most of all, focus on the communication aspect, focus on talking to people, focus on listening. It's a way you can build on all of those skills and also, as I said, make friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the whole reason that we're talking right now is because this isn't just a game, right? It's you end up joining a community, you end up joining a group of people, friends, whatever you want to call them, that you enjoy spending time with, not necessarily just in War of Rights. Like, I can speak for both sides of the NYV. There's so many things we do outside of War of Rights now as the groups that we are, both collectively together and individually, that yeah, it really is a community. It's a place for you to maybe speak to people you wouldn't normally get to speak to. I know that's definitely the case for all of the UK guys here. We're playing a game based on the American Civil War. There's no way I'd speak to Pilot in any other circumstance because I think he's an absolute idiot. No, I'm kidding. No, it's because we get brought together by a game like this, and now I've known Pilot for almost 4 years, I think. I think maybe he's muted right now. He's just AFK, but I'm sure he would say something similar that, there's no circumstance in other walks of life where he would ever speak to me, where he'd ever know about me, right? But ultimately we've landed in these groups that we're in now, and as at least I can speak for myself, the current group of the 6th and by extension the NIV, is definitely a very productive group. It's something which has helped me with myself, with confidence. I'm actually a very shy person in real life. I struggle. You would not believe it. In real life, I pretty much have crippling social anxiety.
I wouldn't know.
I struggle in things like that. But in certain communities and with certain people, it just flows more naturally, and that's a credit to the groups that we are building and part of today. That I'm even able to speak to you right now. I'm even able to speak on a podcast. That's something I would never have normally been able to do. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I don't really think I can say much better suggestions than that, except for just give it a try. Honestly, if you see it on a Steam sale, snap it up. If you really don't like it, you can refund it, but I don't think you will. To be honest, if you get it half price, put it this way: I've got, what did I say at the start? 3,700 hours, and I paid, I think the equivalent of $30 for it, about 22 pounds, British, right? I don't even know what value that is, pound for hours. That's crazy though, right?
You've got your value. You've got your value.
I had my value about 3,000 hours ago. So, it's a game which, as Ibby said, is incomplete. It has its flaws, and yet even in its current state, you still have people like me, like Ibby, like Pilot, even like Frog, who's getting into it and is racking up those hours now, that have put in so much time because it's so great a game, and it's very different to the other options in this market, you could say. So give it a try. If you're looking for a regiment, obviously there's two here that I would definitely recommend. Both will be linked in the description. No, both equally. If you don't like one side of us, I'm sure you'll like the other. But give it a try. Don't be put off by some of the things you may hear or have seen online, because there is those elements. This is obviously a game with public servers, but this is also a game where there is massive private events like the ones you've heard today. You've heard of HRE, you've heard of TSA, you've heard of UEC, you've heard of the reenactment events, you've heard of Picket Patrol, you've heard of the Agent event. There's such a wide variety of options, and honestly, that's probably only mentioning about a fifth of the options that you have regularly available to you. So give it a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you do give it a try and are looking for a regiment, consider either the 6th or the 88th, or anyone out there that is looking... that is another regiment, and I'm sure you'll find the place for you.
Yeah.
That was not meant to be a big speech, but it ended up like that. So you know what? I think that's a great place to finish, actually. So
yeah.
I'll finish by saying thank you to everybody here, to Frog, to Pilot, to Ibby, and we'll see you soon. We'll try and make this a monthly thing. If it's not, I apologise profusely. Blame Pilot. It's not my fault.
All right.
But...
We always blame Pilot.
You know what?
Yes. What do I know, Pilot? What do I know?
I'm joining 20th Mass, confirmed. Sorry guys, Pilot out, see you later. Yeah.
My bad. Anyway, no, seriously, give it a try. Maybe we'll see you around someday, who knows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. See you later.
Take
See you
care.
guys.
See you.